Harris go over the top? I think Harris is going to go over the top of Wilson. Friedeck has as well. It's Harris. Take a look at this move from behind. It is absolutely, it's Armanovsky and Steve from Evo. But who's moving fast? It's Coalition on the front. Greenwood absolutely pushing the power down through those pedals. The rest of the riders come, but no one. I think Greenwood still takes that. Andy from the Dinos is coming up. Nice move. Can Taylor go over the top of Coke? Yes, he can. What a move from Taylor. Strong numbers here, and this is going to be fast. And now the other two, they relight the power on those pedals to give a kick to the end. Hello and welcome to the Super 6 Finals, brought to you by Octaine Racing, a union between Octaine and Flamme Rouge Racing. Well, alongside me, Emma Martin, is of course Nathan Craik. We kept you in suspense as to whether he would be here or on the bike, but he is indeed with us on the broadcast today. And we are going to be bringing you all of the action today from across all 5 race categories for the finals today. Nathan, the Super 6 started back in October last year. 3 leagues running all the way to February. The playoffs then decided the final teams that got to the final today. It's been a huge commitment from a large community of racers, hasn't it?
It has been fantastic, Emma. It's been a really tough series, one of the toughest that I've been in, tactically, from a strategy point of view, from how challenging the courses have been. It has been phenomenal, and it's something that has been wonderful to be a part of. So really looking forward to this. This is going to be a fantastic race. This final race is really going to come down to the best teams and how they go.
And we've got so many riders on the line tonight, and we'll come to that in a short while, but nothing in compared to the number of riders who have taken part.
It's been a huge number, hasn't it? The teams from all over the world, everyone's been a part of this, and it's been really awesome to see how it's all sort of panned out. I know over here in APAC, it's been incredibly hard fought. We've definitely had some rivalry going on with one of the other teams over here, and it has been nerve-wracking and fantastic at the same time.
Well, 929 riders have taken part in the Super 6, 135 teams in total, 50 of which are going to be on the start line tonight for the finals. Strategy and tactics will be really important today, Nathan. What will the teams on our start line have been thinking about over the last 7 days?
Well, I'm sure a lot of the teams had their strategies mapped out, hopefully. I know that we've been talking about ours right up until the last minute. Teams are going to be looking for a couple of opportunities in the course for breakaways. We've got the Ballon Sprint almost straight out of the gates. We've got the Aqueduct.com for the climbing point segments. But I think the real focus and the eyes are going to be on that second sprint, the Sprint de Critère, where the point segments are going to be on offer there, but also the wildcard points. Now, they're going to be pivotal in terms of, I think, how some of these teams will finish and who could walk out the winner.
Well, we do indeed have a points race today for the final of the Super 6. 2 sprints, 2 climbs, 1 wild section and 1 finish line all in play. Let's take a look at those team roles and how the Super 6 works. Nathan, run us through.
So we've got 5 riders in each of these teams, but there are 6 roles to play, and we'll go through them. So we have the general classification rider, the GC rider. Now, that person, their goal is to try and get, across the line as high up as possible against the other GC riders from the other teams. Now, we've got 2 climbers and 2 sprinters. The climbers can only be awarded points on the climbing segments, and the sprinters can only be awarded sprint points or points on the sprint segments. Now, if a sprinter was to cross ahead of a climber, it won't make any difference. They won't get any of the points. So it really does come down to the team captains, who they allocate for each of the roles, who's best suited for the course and those segments. Now, the sixth role is the wildcard segment. Now, the wildcard is designated differently for each race. And in this particular case, it happens to be on a sprint segment, which is going to make things really interesting and difficult for many of the teams. Now, in this particular case, we've got 10 points on offer for the riders who can cross the line, first to cross the line in the top 10. Now, if the wildcard rider is one of those, they'll be awarded an extra 5 points. So 15 up for grabs, 15 race points are on offer. And that's where I think a lot of the teams are going to be focusing. So it's going to be fantastic to watch. Oh, I should point out that the climbing and the sprint segments are fastest through segments. So again, we're going to see riders and teams strategize and set their roles up for that type of segment. So not first across the line, but fastest through.
Yeah, you may well see us calling first over the line, but you'll also see us highlighting those who are coming really fast through the pack today. And I should say, Nathan, that nobody knows who the wild card is, other than the teams themselves, because unlike the GC, the climbers and the sprinters, who you'll see with the SP, CL and GC across their name, there will be no identification as to who the wild card is on screen.
Spot on, Emma. That's absolutely right. So that's where it's going to come down to, isn't it?
Yeah, so it is all to play for, and that wild section could well make a huge difference. Now, to get to the finals, those leagues you were talking about, Nathan, have been in play, and riders finishing in the top 5 in those leagues automatically getting a place in the finals. Then we had the playoffs for everybody else last week, and well, let's take a look and see what happened. Well, in Category A in the Alpha Squad, the first sprint across the bridge lit up, and Emo took the lead. Nils and Emo, the Cryogen and the Vultures, really contesting it. On the first climb, Mansfield broke away, with Manhart catching him, and the start of that 2-up breakaway. Big numbers, however, started to come through from the group behind, really starting to put the power down. The sprint on Tempest at Fugit, well, 2 breakaway, still going strong. Appleberg was solo in 3rd, and then big numbers came out of the pack behind, all of those chasing those times. The finish segment, well, those 2 riders going solo off of the front. And then indeed we had a solo rider in 3rd place as well. The pack then, well, that custom finish 200 metres after the top of the climb. The action was there.
Taking a look at Beta, so the first sprint we had a huge attack there from Steve H, really putting the power down as he crosses the line there from Evo. Looking at the climb, we had Leaf in the distance as the pack start to sprint to catch him at the banner. 2 LEQP riders nearly catch him as they come together across the line, but Leaf holds on just to get there. Looking across at the sprint on Tempest Fugit, Mior and Pete attack from within the pack to cross the line, and we can see a big effort coming through there, and watching the LEQP rider on the line there. And then on the finish, we've got Campbell with a solo near the top of the climb. Look at that distance. Mior leads the pack again, and the big fight is on for that custom finish. But what a fantastic effort.
Yeah, and in the Gamma, the C race, it was fast and furious as well. That first sprint, what a move, what a big pack riding together. The attack from J Dino, the red lights lit up. Source and Isaac were in there as well. And then on the climb, the pack was still together. Spear just taking the banner, but they were all climbing strongly behind. The Tempest sprint, Greenwood led it out. Lee F and Source just missing the action, but those 3 setting getting some really quick times. The climb, well, Ben leading over the top, and a fairly subdued, should we say, finish for the Gammers. Steady over the top, steady over the line.
And in Delta, so on the first sprint there, after a breakaway, Brink and NG get caught at the bridge in a huge attack by Mermaid and the pack. You can see them coming through there. Oh, that was fast. Mermaid from Dinos. In the climb, the pack was together. Risto breaks away to lead to the banner. The pack is stretching a little. Some tired legs there, but Andy also crossed the line there in second. The only time that we caught up with the second sprint action, Pizarro attacks right at the start of the line there of the sprint, and then Solo over the line. There we go from OTR. What a fantastic result. The Tempest sprint, Rees, Milback, and Javier attack off the front. Oh, a three-way action there. But we can see that I think Rees gets the line points just over the there we go on the line there. And then in the finish, Fletcher solos over the top of the climb by 16 seconds. Brink in second, ahead of the pack by a further 36 seconds. Wilkley in third as the pack slowly catch over the line and down the other side.
Well, those were the results of the playoffs on your screen. 28 teams contested those playoffs. 18 teams have progressed to the finals, giving us a grand total of 50 teams on the start line today. And when you think 135 teams competed in the Super 6, what a result to be in the top 50 and on the start line today. Let's take a look and see which teams made it. Well, there you go. The Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta and Epsilon riders, those are the teams you are going to be seeing racing tonight in the final of the Super 6. Now, Nathan, your own team is in the Gamma final today. In fact, as you were indicating earlier, you qualified, or should I say the team qualified, in the top spot in your league, progressing to the final today. So on paper, they are, no pressure, but potentially one of the favourites in that race. You've got to have been having a lot of conversation in the build-up to this race. Can you give us a sneak peek into those team conversations and planning?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's been, look, I'm nervous for them. It's going to be, I'm anxious as well. They've done a fantastic job over the racing series. Now, the chat has been around, without giving too much away, the focus of the wildcard segment. So we are focusing on that as our primary target, and then the finishing points for the end of the race. Now, it is difficult. We've gone backwards and forwards over certain things about who's going to potentially lead a breakaway. Certainly, we've identified 3 of our riders who are going to try and get our GC as high up across that WC, that wildcard segment line as best as possible. But we're certainly up against some tough competition in the European teams.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's 3 p.m. in New York, 6 a.m. in Sydney and 7 p.m. in London, and all of those squads coming together for this course today. Well, our favourites on paper pull it off. The league is finished. This is one race that decides the Super 6 today, and it is playing out on nights of the roundabout, the World Finals today. The points race, 40.2 kilometres, and that bespoke finish with 321 metres of elevation. We've not got long till they come out of the start pen, Nathan, but give us a flavour of what you are expecting to see on that course.
Well, we're definitely going to see some fireworks in that first Ballon sprint segment. So expect to see some of the groups separate and split up there. The Aqueduct comp, I think, won't be as much of a target for many of the teams as will the Sprint de Createur. So that's, I think, where that wildcard segment is. That's where the teams are going to be focusing. That's where the most points are. Then we've got the Marina Sprint reverse after that, but then the Balloon Sprint again. Now, teams can either decide to target that sprint again, but tired legs may dictate otherwise. And then, of course, the Petite KQOM at the very end, just to cap things off with the custom finish. So it's going to be interesting to see how some of these teams go with their strategy and who's there at the finish.
It is going to be interesting. And unlike the league that started in October, it's not about consistency today and fielding a team that will race strong week after week and making those minor adjustments. It is all about the planning for this one race to decide the world finals for the Super Six. Down in the start pen, they have all done their warm-ups. They are all ready and we are about to roll. Well, out of that start pen, first up is the Alpha squad. We've got a number of really strong teams in here. The WMZ Anvils took P1 in the US East League. In the Europe League, it was the Beast Mode Lions who took that honour. So those two teams we're really going to be watching for today in terms of going head-to-head. On paper, they should both be strong. But, well, as we say, it is the world final. Anything could happen, and it's all going to come down to those tactics today. And I think we're seeing some tactics here already, Nathan.
Yeah, Mansfield pushing out the front there. It is early. They're only 30 seconds into this. But with the A's being as strong as they are and the European teams as well, yeah, look, seeing some of the riders already start to open that up and maybe test the legs of some of the other teams isn't something that should be unexpected. So we can see that we've got Curtis there from Sisu behind coming up. Now, here's a climber. We can see the CL in his name on the right-hand side. So we've got an idea of the role he's playing. And further down the list there, we can see some GCs as well. So we know who we're looking out for. But it is interesting to see the climbers out the front so early on. Let's see what happens. But it could be a bit of a strategy here to have them push forward and regroup afterwards.
Interesting move from the A's coming out of the pen, and not everybody fast and furious, but 3 riders now cleared off the front. In the B, it is now looking a little bit more sedate 30 seconds into their race. The pack wide across the road at the moment. We're going to be bringing you all 5 categories. 2 things you can note. On the top right-hand corner, the B in green, that letter will change as we jump between the different categories. Also, the position on the course at the bottom, you'll be able to really clearly see which part of the course that particular race is at. Trying to give you some visual recognition on what you're going to see on the screen as we jump between these categories. Well, talking about jumping between the categories, the C riders, the Gamma riders are out of the pen as well. Now, 3 different squads for me to really look out for here today. The ADHR Cruisers, P1, as you said there, Nathan, no favourites today for you. The OTR Grinders have got to be giving them some serious competition from the US East League. And from the Europe League, well, the Dino Irritor. All 3 of those squads finished top of their league. They have all got to be looking at each other. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because they've not raced each other before, Nathan. This is the first time those league winners are going head to head.
Yes, absolutely. And that's going to be the interesting thing, because a lot of these teams would have been racing each other on and off each week and getting a sense of what they're like. Now there's a whole different fresh field and everyone's trying to work out each other's tactics.
Yeah, well, in the D category, in the Deltas, this I love because the 2 Dino squads, one from US East, one from Europe, both of them finishing P1 in their league. The Dino Prehistoric Pace Crew and then the Dino Coughing Dragons. Both of those, well, they could really be looking at the battle of being between the Dinos in D. Well, we're just going to drop back in with the A race at the moment, and they are sort of well and truly out of the pen and coming towards that Ballon Sprint. But take a look at this, Nathan. 14 seconds. Mansfield, Curtis and HC have gone clear.
They've really pushed up, haven't they? And I'm just trying to work out there. We've got 2 CC riders there. So we've got Curtis and HC. So the tactics there could be for the climber and the GC to push up very early and try and get that breakaway. Now, it is a big ask to try and make that stick for the next 20 kilometers if that is their strategy. But at the moment, let's see how that works out. But certainly a massive gap coming through this particular segment. Now, this segment is not in play at all. There are no points to be had here, and that's evident by the fact that we're not seeing any red numbers coming up but I expect that as we approach the Boulogne Sprint, that will change.
Well, the Cryogen rider Mansfield made a play here early on and really was the instigator of this action. But the two Sisu riders quickly jumping on, and that's really interesting. So Cryogen raced the playoffs and actually won the playoffs. Late to the party is the team name. The Sisu Kevat squad finished second in the Europe League. Now the Sisu riders coming up and over the top of Mansfield now and looking as though they're trying to take control of this race. Oh, now look at the beast mode riders from behind. Christoph Flubus has just put in a massive kick.
That's interesting, isn't it? I wonder if they're attempting to bridge across. I mean, a 15, 16 second gap to bridge at this time of the race could be a lot to ask, and it could take out some much needed watts out of the legs very early on. But certainly I wouldn't like to think that they've misunderstood the segments and have attacked that first sprint segment thinking that there's points to be had there.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it?
These three riders are certainly, yep.
Yeah, I was going to say it's just interesting because, as you said, it's fastest through the segment, which is important. But three riders going clear this early on really will shake the other teams up, because I can't imagine that in the tactics and strategy discussion chats the teams have had, they'd really thought that one of the teams might do this and that Sisu and Cryogen would put riders down the road this early. It's a 12-second gap back to the chasers and a 17-second gap back to the main pack.
Yep. It's a big one, isn't it? But we can see there that we've got HC on the front putting out 5.8 watts per kilo is a lot. I mean, even for the A's here, it is a lot this early in the race. But as I say, the tactics here could be to try and get that GC rider as far down the road as possible to really maximize those points through the sprint de critère segment. So, which, you know, is only sort of halfway through this race.
And it's an interesting
if
tactic,
they can hold on.
Yeah, because the climber and the GC rider from Sisu are the riders down the road. The sprinters are left in the pack. The sprint segments, which really are the early segments, the Ballon sprint, the Marina sprint, on time base, they're going to get a better, quicker time from the pack with the draft. So ideal placement from them. The climber, one of the two climbers, and the GC rider down the road. So Curtis here with Mansfield, the Cryogen rider, but HC, the GC rider, coming up onto the wheel and keeping in the draft. It's a really interesting tactic, because if you take the aqueduct QOM out of this, really they're heading right to the end of this race and the wildcard segment, and of course that final climb. This is, either this is great strategic tactics to get a gap and go clear, or it's an interesting one to see how the other teams responded and maybe to take some of the snap out of their legs.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a big ask, I think. I'm just trying to process this strategy at the moment. Given the fact that there is so much of the race left, to have them come away so early is either brilliant or could crater fantastically. But as we know, this is fastest through segments, so we're not going to see anything too outrageous here in terms of power for this sprint segment, which they're coming through or have just gone through right now. So nothing surprising there, but we are going to see the sprinters right behind them absolutely, stomp those power numbers, and they've actually closed that gap. So expectedly, the sprinters in the teams have started to close that gap down to 7 seconds, 6 seconds. So maybe it was just to make sure that they could have their GC rider as far front as they possibly could after that first sprint segment.
Well, all different in the beta category at the moment, because this pack is all still together. Hall, Bean, Raymond, Ashby are all in the mix here. Source and the Dino squads in here, the Watt squads, the riders all together. One huge pack. In fact, I say that, I can see just one rider off the back of the pack because it's got a little tail to it at the moment at the 35-kilometre marker. They've got 700 metres to go until the Ballon sprint. is fastest through the segment, and we will start to see those red numbers appear. We're looking for the sprinters. That classification is going to be important, but they're not going to be at the front of the pack. They're going to be at the back of that group right now, because there's a lot of draft to be had here in this B category, and the pack now starts to spread.
Yeah, that's right. There's no power-ups in this race. All the riders are going to be using that draft from the pack as much as they can. So we're going to see those sprinters start to drag back into the back of the group, and then we'll see the power numbers start to ramp up as they approach that beacon, that sprint beacon. You'll see it on the right-hand side of the road. It's the green sprint beacon. That's where we're going to see the fireworks. That's where we're going to see the orange numbers come through, and that's where we're going to see those sprinters really stomp this.
Well, they head over that banner, as Nathan's just said, and it's Ashby, actually, the rider on the front, the sprinter on the front, going out clear and going out hard off the front, but now the red numbers come from behind, and the riders behind really starting to open this up. Take a look at those flashing wheels. The power is going down in the B category. That was fast and furious in that final 200 metres. The riders in the beta race really trying to set the fastest time.
How fantastic was that? Those orange numbers up and down the list there, but all those sprinters, most of them were discs, coming through that sprint segment, really pushing hard. Now, of course, it's going to remain to be seen, are they going to regroup and try and get their team back together, or are some of these riders going to push on and then attack that aqueduct column?
Well, the stretch on the Gamma pack at the moment, the C category really long on the final 200-metre run into the Ballon sprint as well. This is the first sprint of the Super 6 final for the C category. The pack now just starting to stretch. The sprinters sat sort of around 2/3 back as they head over the line, and now the power goes down, and the Watt squad now starting to put the power down. Oh, we've got some massive power coming out here, 12, 13 watts per kilo as the riders go deep. East is up there, Telford is up there, Oliveira coming over the top, fast and furious. Martin was in there as well. That power coming out of that Gamma squad was fantastic.
Yeah, Rick Telford there in the front. He's the GC for the AHDR Cruisers. Certainly wanted to make sure that he's positioned up front, which is what we discussed. But seeing some of those riders come through, big numbers, big power numbers, fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you something, the Delta race is not far behind at all. We're in with Gort from the ART, the first of two ART squads actually in this race. The Dinos are there, the Rhinos are there. Evo are in the mix as well, and it's pointed on the front of this pack as they swing around this corner. They're running into the banner. They've got the final 200 metres to go. No red numbers lighting this up yet, and there we go. It is indeed the ART rider who puts down the power. Evo are in there as well. Now the pace starts to come. I've just seen 14 watts per kilo from the back of the group. That was one huge kick in this race. Made from the Dinos goes over. Hulst goes over as well. Coalition, Javier is in there as well, who performed really well in those playoffs too. Let's take a look at the replay.
Yeah, we can see those sprinters, a lot of them hanging back, trying to use the draft of the group to come through and get as much speed as they can through that. In actual fact, one of the riders was even able to super tuck. That's how fast they were going.
Yeah, they are flying here today on the Super 6 final. The first sprint, the Ballon sprint, well, we're now in with the Epsilon crew, and the pack stretched a little more at this stage with 300 metres to go, but now you can see it start to concertina up as everybody starts to look at each other. The climbers and GC riders towards the front of the pack at the moment, giving the draft to the sprinters. Well, they are leaving this late today. I can start to see some numbers winding up as we look through the pack at the moment, but this really is going to be a last-minute sprint here. I've just seen 7 watts per kilo in the pack. In fact, there we go. The Dino riders now starting to move through, coming through from the back to the front as they start to put the power down here onto the Ballon sprint. There's the banner. Vale is moving through. Sarah from ART is as well, right on the front there. Great racing, but not as deep into those power reserves, the Epsilon crew, as we've seen in some of the other categories.
Yeah, now that could be a strategic move there for some of the teams to try and save some of those watts for the later segments. But also remember that the teams get to challenge for the balloon sprint again towards the very end of the race. So it could be a strategic move that they save these watts now for the wild card and then revisit this as they come back through again.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And the Epsilon lead, 30 riders in this race, 6 teams to contest that race, and we just drop back in with the B category at the moment. They're coming up for the Aqueduct climb, which is the next segment here. Now, this is where we're going to see the climbers come to the fore, isn't it, Nathan?
Yeah, that's right. Now, this is going to be interesting because one of the things we discussed was not focusing our energies on this particular segment because there's so many other points on offer. And it's going to be interesting to see if some of the other teams adopt a similar strategy. And so what we'll end up seeing, and because this is a fairly, I wouldn't say a massive climb, we're going to see some fast numbers. I'm likely to think that some of these teams are going to work together and stay together over this and not worry too much about trying to either separate or force some breakaways. Now, having said that, it quite could happen, and we could see some of the teams use this as a launch pad for the sprint de Creature further up the road. But it's going to be interesting to see how the teams go over here. Now, the ones we're looking for here are the riders with the CL in their rider name. They're the climbers. They're the only ones that can get points on this segment. So we expect to see some of those riders maybe hang back, cross that beacon back in the pack, and then push up and try and get across the banner as far front as they can.
Well, there's some stretch on the group, but they really are leaving it till the actual segment. Now, this does climb quite significantly before we get to the segment, but right now, here we go. The dyno's right on the front. Van Wyn is up there. Mudders is up there as well. Ebbage, Marlow, riders in the mix. Conkrite 2 in the mix as well as Hayes. Now the power really goes down. Marlow doing a great job with some last-minute power here. Trzajanski is in the mix as well. And now Prager comes. Conkrite goes as well. Great last-minute power pushes from those riders. And now the question is, are they going to back off the pace and settle back down? I think the answer to that is going to be a resounding yes, Nathan.
Yeah, I didn't see any GC riders in that front group there going across the line. So I expect we're going to see this group get back together and then have them start to focus on the wildcard segment coming up.
Well, the power numbers from those climbers, the Aqueduct is such a short climb. And I say that, however, whenever I ride it, it always feels longer than I think it should be. But cracking job from the beta riders to head through the second segment today.
All right, so C now. Just watching the C's come up and over into this little climb. Now, the tough part of this race is this segment is that flat section as they turn left, coming around there. We've got Gillings there. We've got Santos, Fagno, and then Rocker as well. Looking for some of the AHDR riders to come through, I'm hoping, but not the case. Rocker pushing through. Fagno there on the front there. Both from ZTBR, Denny coming through from Club as well. That was a fast time.
It was indeed. Some real fast finishings there and really starting to push there. But a number of the riders and a number of the different teams getting into the mix there. Steph from OTR, Denny in the mix as well. So the riders riding strongly. The Club Chocolate squad doing well on that segment too. Looking like they are going to be regrouping in the Gamma race. So a steadier roll down the hill for recovery for those climbers. They are going to need that recovery, really, aren't they? They've got a long transition now before the Petty QKOM starts at the 26 kilometres still to go until that final climb, where they're going to need to have reserved as much energy as possible through this tactical race. Look at the line on that, riders. Such a long group. Well,
yeah, no, that was fantastic to see some of the breakaways. Sorry.
Yeah, no. The action is fast and furious here today. And as we jump between the categories, expect Nathan and I to jump between each other as well. The E category at the moment, 500 metres out from that aqueduct climb. They're going to be the last race field through that section on the course. Do you think there's some nervous riders out there, Nathan? Or do you think they're just in it and enjoying it?
Oh, I don't think you can race this and not feel nervous. I mean, it's the finals, it's international. You're racing against the best teams, the best riders here. If you aren't feeling some level of nerves, look, I'd be very surprised. But we can see their Vale there at the front there, PC as well from an Australian team, WMZ. They were one of our competitors here. Dino there as well. So Sarah from Art, the GC rider, up the front. That's going to be interesting. Are they going to try and force some sort of breakaway perhaps? But again, looking to see some of the climbers here already on the front. Now that's interesting. If they're strong enough, they can push through. But you'd expect to see some of the climbers that are maybe towards the back of the pack really start to put some power down as they come up towards the start of this beacon.
Well, it's interesting here, isn't it? Because there is a real stretch on this group, actually, and there are evidence of splits starting to form. Looking to me like we've got a number of riders. You can see, look at those small gaps, and it really now does depend as to how those teams utilise those small gaps. We could well see 4 riders go clear here. Vale, Boyce, Sarah are all in a really strong position, but now the rest of the pack seems to be closing down. Owens is there, Lee is there, Strava is in the mix, PC is there too. The pack swing around the corner. They sight the banner. And now it is indeed the WMZ rider pushing on the Dino rider. Owens now going up and over the top. Great move from Owen to go over the top and underneath the banner in 1. Strava in 2. Vale in 3. Boyce. Sarah is there, the GC rider from ART as well. The stretch on this group, it's going to be interesting to see and watch how many of these riders reform into the leading group.
Now, there are 2 art teams in that mix as well, and I can see them pushing off the front. So it'll be interesting to see whether they're going to use that as a launch pad for a breakaway.
Well, talking about a launch pad for a breakaway, this is 23 kilometres and 22 minutes of racing in the Alpha race. And Christoph Flubus from the Beast Mode, the GC rider, has gone off the front. They're coming up towards the wild section, the Sprinter Crater. That is in 2.2 kilometres time. And Flubus is absolutely dialing this now. Now, it's not unlikely that the GC rider could also be the team's wildcard, is it, Nathan?
I would highly suspect that that's absolutely the case here. He is absolutely dominating this at the moment. There still is a bit of time to go. So whether we're going to see some of the other riders try and now close that gap down, it'll be interesting. But he really has got a sizable lead at this point in the race from many of the other riders. Now, there are 2 or 3 behind at 2 or 3 seconds. We can see them just in the distance. But then we've got a rider, Leon, at 10 seconds. But then the main group is like a minute behind. So
they are so
hard
far back
pressed
now.
to think close that gap down. Yeah.
Let's just have a little run through, shall we? So Christoph Flubus from the Beast Mode Lions in 1. Clear of HC from Sisu, Mansfield. And it was, of course, HC and Mansfield who put that early attack in the A race as well. Let's not forget that. They are 12 seconds clear of 2 further riders, Sagers and Leon. Then it is, 20 seconds back to Curtis. And 45 seconds back to the pack. The A race has been absolutely decimated, and we did say when we saw Mansfield, HC and one of the other Sisu riders go clear on the start of this race, that it could well be split, but I don't think anybody expected the Alpha race to be split this much at this stage.
Yeah, they've really separated the groups, haven't they? And it's not unexpected with the A's. They are such strong riders, especially the Europeans. It is fantastic to see them really attacking this so early on in the race. But certainly the points are on offer, and it looks like Flebus is really trying to get as many as they can now. Keep in mind that with the wild card segment, this is open to all riders for this final race, which means that any rider crossing in the top 10 will get finishing points from 10 down to 1. Now, if you're a wild card holder, though, you will get an extra 5 points. So it is on for young and old. Anyone who does get across the line in that top 10 will get those extra racing points. And I think that's going to make all the difference when it comes down to the finish. But certainly it looks as if Flebus has this sewn up with Seegers and Leon there, HC as well, Mansfield. So, yeah, it's going to be fantastic to see how the rest of the group respond. And I can see some orange numbers starting to flare up. Maybe they're positioning, getting ready for this segment.
Well, yes, and I'm just taking a look through the riders here and trying to work out which teams are in play. The Beast Mode Lions have got riders in the chase group as well, and Mark Santo putting in some big numbers from behind. But Flubus on the front is going to go underneath that banner in one with a strong race and a strong ride. That banner, well, that's the wild card here today. Mansfield and HC, the two riders with a clear gap back now, look like they're going to be, well, Mansfield now picking up the pace. What definitely wants that second place position. The Cryogen rider ahead of the Sisu rider. Then we've got, well, I'm just taking a little look back. We've got Leon and Sagers. The LEQ Peace Climber, Sagers from the Watt squad in the mix as well. Again, everybody battling for position because this wild section, it's the top 10 riders who pick up points. We're then going to have a bit of a battle behind. Curtis, the second Sisu rider, is going to be coming through and underneath that banner. And then I think we're going to see a bit of a group sprint because we've got Cryogen riders, we've got Beast Mode riders in there, and we've got more riders from Sisu in that pack as well. And that's going to be the back half of that top 10.
Yeah, see those numbers coming through now. We can see the sprinters really ripping it through there. 15 watts per kilo I saw flash up. That is just outrageous in terms of power numbers, but fantastic to see. So Neil's there from Cryo coming through. He's the sprint. He's got SP there. We've also got Harris there as well, Walter too. So Santos, who has already picked up one of the other sprint jerseys, pushing on as well. But some fantastic sprinting there. And these points I think will make all the difference at the end of the race.
Well, it's interesting because the Cryogen squad, the late to the party squad, went into those playoffs to get into this final. They're not behaving like they were a playoff team at all.
No, they're really pushing through as if they deserve to be there, but they're pushing through as if they dominated coming straight into this. Some of the teams here are super strong, like really insane. So it's when you asked before about nervousness, that's the reason to be nervous when you've got such strong competitors here in this racing series.
Well, this is the beta race at the moment. They're sweeping through towards the sprint crater, the wild section. They've got 1,500 metres to go until they get there. And Hayes, at the moment, one of the GC riders from TNP off the front at the moment, but just leading the charge. The Falcons are in there as well. But, well, the riders riding strongly here. Hayes, Pello, Benotti, Hauser. The Dinos have got riders in the mix, but it is a big, big pack, quite unlike we saw in the Alpha race. The Beta race, well, they are all still looking like there's a lot of teams in contention here. Hayes, Benotti, Pello. These riders now starting to stretch on as they come within 1,000 metres of this wild section. And, well, I tell you, some of them are the riders from the pack behind and not going to let them go.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? With having these sprint segments so close together, it's easy to get confused about which sprint segment they've got to really be focusing on. So they've got to have their game on. They've got to be focused on this. And at this point in the race, I suspect fatigue is going to start to creep in on some of these riders, and it's easy to lose position. And so they're doing a fantastic job there. Source. Who we got there? Shelton, I saw up the front there too. And they are staying together, which tells me that some of these teams are going to be focusing on that sprint de couture segment, but then also the finish too. So no breakaways as yet, which is a bit interesting in B, but let's see how that plays out.
Well, Romswinkle from the OTR breakaway squad on the front. Not a full dialed breakaway at the moment, just a small stretch off the front, leading the pack at the moment. They've got 100 metres to go until they hit that wild segment. Can the OTR rider stay clear? Well, it's going to be an interesting one. Brumley, Shelton are up there. Janowski is up there too. Shelton coming up and over the top. Moyer is there too. Oh, these riders absolutely nailing this now as they dial towards the wild section here. The push is on. The Dino riders battling large at the moment. And in fact, I think that could well be. Let's take another look.
Yeah, we can see Bromley there as well, and Shelton too, both from OTR. Shelton, I would suspect, is the wild card holder for OTR there. So pushing forward, trying to get across that line as high up as he possibly can to try and maximize those finishing points. But the Dino riders coming through as well, another GC, and certainly the power numbers there are just orange as far as the eye can see. That's really fantastic racing coming through that sprint segment.
Well, I reckon that is at least 3 OTR riders in the top 10 on that wild card segment. So some great teamwork there from that squad in the beta race. The gamma race as well, they too are coming towards that segment. And we've got a 2-rider breakaway, but it's just 2 seconds. You can see the pack hunting them down behind. Souza from ZTBR, the GC rider, and Shuring, the sprinter from the club squad are the riders coming through. The Club Chocolate team got the rider away with, well, ZTBR rider as well.
Yeah, we can see the riders just starting to bunch up now, getting ready and getting prepped for that final sprint segment. I can see AHGR, which is what I wanted to see. Rick Telford there, Mike Brooks as well, all pushing up and pushing forward, just as we talked about. But Souza there, DeSantis, we've got who are Star there and Rocker as well. So certainly some of the riders here really trying hard to get those finishing points. And there we can see Mike Brooks and Rick Telford coming through the front. They're really leading the charge, pushing on. Rick is our wild card holder, I can disclose now. So certainly want to see him crossing this line in first position. And that's fantastic.
Oh, it's going to be close.
Got these points.
Wow, I tell you something, there's a fast finishing Martins in there from the Watt squad as well. That may well have been fourth, Nathan. But what a move from that screen. Let's take a watch of the replay. Telford was indeed out clear, but it almost looked like he stuttered with around 10 metres to go because Denny came through really fast. So did Isaacs and Martins.
Yeah, that was interesting. It almost like he sort of just got off the gas a little bit too early. I think maybe he thought he had that 5th spot sewn up quite easily, and then having some of the riders come through. But I think he got the extra 5 points that we were banking on. So he has absolutely done the best possible thing he can do, and got the points we're after.
And that's one of the things that's really lovely about the Super Six, isn't it? That as a rider in a team, you have a role. Your job is to execute that role and possibly help other riders out to execute their role as well. There's a lot of communication going on whilst these riders are racing and thinking on your feet, or should I say thinking on the pedals.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we can sort of see, D coming through, Fletcher there, and Taylor as well coming through the banner. There's Taylor, the GC, he'd be the wild card holder for sure. We've also got Rekfin as well. He's a sprinter, but I
Mm.
bet he's holding the wild card role in that team. But certainly, yeah, exactly. You are right. It is about executing your role, having a game plan, and sticking to it. But as you say, though, Emma, game plans can change mid-race, and having that communication is absolutely key. I know we use Discord for that, and the chatter would be high as it is and as it has been in every race we've done.
Well, the ART Deltron's rider down the road being chased by the ART 6's Delta rider as well. 2 ART squads making the Delta final today. A little bit further up the race, just gone through the Marina Sprint Reverse is the A category. Let's take a little look. Christoph Fluber still has a gap, but it is just 6 seconds from Mansfield and HC. Mansfield, the cryogen rider, HC, the Sisu rider. These 3 riders clear of the rest of the pack. The gap back over a minute.
Yeah, that's a big gap, isn't it? A minute 14, a minute 15. You'd be hard pressed to see that kind of gap be closed down until at least they get to the petite KQOM. But certainly having HC and Mansfield out the front of this entire race for, what are we, 35 minutes? That's a monster effort. I mean, that's really tough riding, and rightly so. I mean, we're looking at the best riders, arguably, internationally at the moment on ZWIFT, and this is fantastic to see. So HC there from Sisu, Mansfield as well. It really is enjoyment to watch this. This is real fantastic racing.
Yeah, and in terms of tactics, we've got 2 GC riders and a climber clear. You know, we're coming up towards the finale here. You know, there's 8.5 kilometres to go until the Ballon Sprint, just shy of 10 kilometres to go until we get to that final climb. 2 GC riders and a climber. Tactically, those teams, you know, the Beast Mode Lions, Cryogen, Sisu, they've done a phenomenal job, haven't they, to get these riders down the road and away.
Absolutely. And that's the interesting thing about this whole racing series, is about choosing the right riders for the course you're racing and deciding who's going to be the one that's going to be on the climbing, who's going to be the GC, how far or how much can they push in those respective roles to try and get the points they can. And that's what was going to be thinking about the sprint segment we just saw. Even though it's a wildcard sprint segment, you know, you can have your GC being that wildcard holder. You can have your climber being that wildcard holder. And if there is a climb like there is at the end, it makes sense to have some of those riders push on, push forward to try and maximize their chances of getting as many points as they can across those segments.
Well, Team Not Poggy in the mix in the beta category here. A number of other riders. The CU squad in the mix as well. The Dinos are in here. There's 2 OTR squads. The Breakaways and the Eclipse, they're all in the mix, and they're coming into the Marina Sprint now. There is the banner. It's fast and furious, and the red numbers are everywhere. The TNP squad, the Coalition squad, they are absolutely fighting it. Dump Truck puts the power down. SP is in there as well as Brumley, Mr. Bean and Lid. Moya is there too. They were coming fast and furious through the pack, and it's still a great size pack for the draft in the beta squad.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing, isn't it? You really need to try and leverage as much as you can from a riding perspective, from a gameplay perspective, and being further back in the pack allows you to get as much of that draft as possible to help bring that speed up and get across the line as fast as they possibly can, which is just fantastic. And just looking at the seas here coming through the windy bits along the river, they look all really together, don't they? I mean, there's a big group there, and I'm just scanning some of the names there. You know, D'Souza's still there, Denny's still there, Schurig as well, Eggins too. So it's great to see Rick is there. Awesome. That's what I wanted to see. But certainly a big group. and we have one rider. Is that Burrows out the front?
Yeah, it is indeed. It's
Pushing on from
Burrows off the
Art.
front.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 seconds clear at the moment. But these rollers are a great little place to be able to get away and get clear. So Burrows from that Art squad pushing on. The Art Sixers Gamma squad working strongly at the moment, and Burrows holding the gap at the moment, but there's still 600 metres to go until we get to that Marina sprint.
Yeah, it's interesting. We don't know exactly what role that Burrows is playing in their team, but you'd have to think that GC, if I had to guess, just to be out front and then regroup with his sprinters or their sprinters as they come through. But we've certainly got some stronger riders that are going to be coming up and through this sprint segment. And we can see Rocker there from OTR trying to position as well. We've got Chris there too from OTR. We've got some of the other riders, LEQP as well. There's a couple of riders there positioning themselves as they come into this sprint segment. Now, it is not a long sprint segment, so we're certainly going to see some fast times and some big power numbers as they come through right now.
Yeah, they are indeed, and they're coming through thick and fast at the moment. DeVos is the rider from the Watt squad. Oh, going up and over the top. Big power numbers coming out. Saw 12 watts per kilo. Oliveira was there. Mann was there. Eggins was in the mix as well. The 39 Gears squad were there too. That was a fast sprint. DeVos, 12 watts per kilo coming.
Yeah, that's some orange numbers as far as I can see. I can see Dalton there as well coming through, one of our sprinters. So some big power numbers there, and it is fantastic. Even in C, the what do you call it? The competition, that was the word I'm looking for, is really really thick, and so it's fantastic to see. And looking at D now, we've got Andy there on the front, Fletch as well there from the Dinos. Coty as well coming through, starting to position themselves. As I said, we'll see some of these sprinters start to drift towards the back, and then as they make that right-hand corner turn, we're going to see those orange numbers again light up, those sparkling wheels come through, and some fast times.
Yeah, the Rhino squad, the Dinos, 2 squads in this mix, the fossil fuels and the prehistoric pace. There'll be no prehistoric pace coming into this sprint in the next 200 metres. They are all going to be absolutely flying for the line. Evo is on the front. The 2 Art squads as well in the mix. The Sixers, Deltas and the Deltrons. Evo, 2 teams as well. The ignition is lit by Javier at the moment. The ignition rider, Javier, driving towards the line. We saw him in the playoffs. We're seeing him do the business in the sprint again here in the finals right now on the front. Dunn was in the mix too. So was Pizarro. So was Tom. But, well, it was all down to Javier to lead them home. But was it the fastest time? Will he pick up the points? We are going to have to wait and see.
That's exactly it. Like, it's easy to say, oh yeah, he's nailed this, but you can be towards the back of the pack and post the fastest time, and you're the riders that are going to get the points. So we're only going to know who's done what and how well they've done it at the end of the race. So make sure you stick around for those results. But looking back at the A's here, Fleber's still in front. Mansfield now is on his wheel. Fleber's been the GC. I wonder how that disc is going to go up this climb.
Well, interesting choices, aren't they? And, the riders being able to make the choice of equipment. But Flubus having been caught by Mansfield now. So the Cryogen rider in the Alpha race coming now up onto the wheel of Christoph Flubus, the Beast Mode Lions GC rider. Mansfield is on some phenomenal form. He's been active in this race since the start. The gap back to the Sisu rider, 9 seconds. So it's not that the Sisu rider's lost any time. In fact, he's held position. It's just that Mansfield closed the gap.
Yeah, really pushed up. And I could almost feel Flubus feeling a little bit, relieved to have Mansfield take the front there, take the wheel, and for him to sort of sit in and maybe get a little bit of recovery before they approach the next sprint segment and the final petite KQOM. But certainly that gap, 11 seconds over HC, I wonder what the thinking process is there for that rider, whether they're going to try and push up and bridge across to these front two riders, or maybe settle back, try and recover a little bit and allow the chasing group, which is a minute 32 behind, to come up. So hard to say, but it all depends on how he's feeling.
Let's talk about that chase group for a moment. They are a minute 20 behind, 3 riders clear, but actually it's about the time on the climb and their finish position, isn't it? That's important for them
exactly
now.
It.
I can't see them closing down that time gap now. So realistically, the thought process is set the fastest time I can on the climb and get the best position at the finish line. Is there anything else they should be thinking about?
Well, no, that would be it. I think for the majority of these riders, it is about getting your GC. So if you've got your GC in this group and you're a climber, you would have to be thinking they'd be on whatever chat communication they're using, talking it through, figuring out how they're actually going to approach this. But certainly getting the GC up and across the finish line in comparison to the other GCs would be the priority, and the climbers getting and setting the fastest time over that segment as best as possible would be the other priority. So I can still see a lot of the sprinters in here, though. A lot of them are having the disc wheels there, just sitting at the back. But certainly you'd have to think now the focus is on the climbers and getting that GC across that finish line as best they possibly can.
And it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because we're heading towards the Ballon Sprint in 2.5 kilometres here. We've already been through the Ballon Sprint once. Your best time through the Ballon Sprint only counts once, but you get 2 opportunities to set it.
Yep. So it's for the whole race. So if you've got some riders here and they may have done this, they may have gone with a strategy where they didn't expend the watts at the start of the race, focused on the wildcard segment, and now they're going to have another crack at the Ballon Sprint as well. So it'll be interesting to see whether we do see the group sort of stretch out over that particular segment, or whether even some of the teams realize that they can challenge for sprint points again before the petite KQOM. But certainly having a few of the sprinters in these mixes up the front group, maybe they're going to do that. But looking at C here as well, we've got Thomas and Longson there as well. Eggins too in the front. Seegers is still there. Rick Telford is still there. We've still got a lot of riders in this group.
It's a huge pack in the Gamma race at the front of this as they're sweeping their way around France at the moment on the nights of the roundabout. Course 40.2 kilometres of racing and, 2 sprints, 2 climbs, 1 wildcard section, 1 finish all in play. 4 of those have already been completed by the riders here on the Super 6 final today. There's a lot of thinking going on as well as a lot of power going down. And, we're going to drop back in with the A category because they're coming up to that Ballon Sprint for the second time. Doesn't look to me like these 2 riders are going to contend that, but Flubus and Mansfield are starting to extend their lead. We've got the GC rider from the Beast Mode Lion squad, Flubus. We've got the climber from the Cryogen late to the party squad. These 2 riders looking like they're working well together on the front. Now 12 seconds back to the Sisu rider. And, HC is that rider. It's their GC rider. And then a minute and 15. That gap really are not interested in chasing at all. It's about what they can get from this race with the 3 riders clear.
Yeah, you would think that the other Sisu riders in that chasing pack would be doing absolutely nothing to shut that gap down. But certainly Flebus and Mansfield, they're working together. Flebus back on the front, so we can see that they're taking turns now. Absolutely, they want to maintain that lead and extend it if they can. HC looks like he might be struggling a little bit. I mean, that gap is opening up over the front 2 riders, but he is sort of holding his own there across the other group. But coming through the sprint segment now, we've got some of the sprinters pushing up.
Yeah.
Just looking at them starting to position themselves a little bit early, maybe, but certainly seeing them on the front there isn't unexpected. And you'd have to think that a few of these riders are really going to start charging now as they come towards that start of the sprint segment, which is just up the road.
Well, this is an interesting move from these sprinters because we're not actually at the segment yet. It's not far off, but there's been a lot of red numbers before the start, and that is the start. So they've gone clear, but now you would expect the power to go down, and Harris, actually the Sisu rider from behind, is putting in massive numbers. Look at the power going down there. Harris absolutely nailing this sprint. Giri, the sprint rider from Cryogen, in the mix as well. So two really strong contenders for that. Now, interestingly, could that small breakaway have been a tactical manoeuvre to give those riders extra draft?
Quite possibly, but as we talked about, Emma, a few of those riders only contended that sprint. A lot of the riders, I think, were happy to sort of sit in, make sure they stay in contention, make sure they stay connected. But only a few of the riders, Jira there, contesting that sprint, maybe trying to better their first time. So interesting to see, and I'm wondering how the other categories are going to approach that same sprint segment. But Mansfield there, still in the front, taking turns with Phlebas. HC still 11, 12 seconds behind. So the gap isn't opening, but it's not shutting down either.
Oh, it's just not moving, is it? And this, Nathan, is just so interesting because this is a head game as well as a heart game, isn't it? This is sort of strategy and strength put together in one package, in one finale. And for me, do you know, I love a one-off race. I love a league. I love a series because you've got consistency. But when that finishes in a one-off race, it can all be shaken up, and who you expect to see at the top may not be the person, because surprises always happen. And the surprise here is that Phlebas and Mansfield have gone clear of the group. This rider that we are in with at the moment, HC from Sisu, is their GC rider, 12, 13 seconds back, and it's fluctuating. We've seen 9 to 14 seconds that rider sat in third, but clearly in third by around a minute and 20 seconds. So really just needs to defend that third place, really, the GC rider from Sisu. That's got to be the goal here. Phlebas and Mansfield, however, look like they're going to be having a battle up front. This is the pack behind as they come on to the final climb.
Yeah, so that's one thing to remember, though, about this entire racing is that regardless of the role you're in, everyone is fighting for finishing points as well. So regardless of whether you're GC, a climber, a sprinter, where you cross that finish line does matter. And we can certainly see that Mansfield there, as well as Phlebas, are pushing ahead, trying to maintain that lead, trying to get as most of the points as they can. But now we're coming into the climb. I expect we're going to see a lot of the sprinters who have been dominating early start to drift towards the back. And the climbers, as we can see right now, the climbers there and their GCs push up and try and put as much effort as they can into this climb. Now, it is a decisive climb. It isn't long by Alpine standards, but certainly it is a difficult one with these left and right hand bends, and the gradient does kick up. So we've got a bit of a 1%, 2% here. They'll turn left again. That will punch back up to 4 and 5% for the next segment.
Yeah, there are some steps on this climb, aren't there? Some respite, some moments where you think it is nearly over, but then it kicks again and it isn't. Well, Dan is in the mix. Pascal, Leon, Curtis is there as well. Hack from the Sisu climber is in the mix as well. But the Beast Mode Lions rider, David Don, now really starting to push on. The Cryogen rider, the GC rider, Manhart is the rider really at the front of the pack now. But Don trying to close down to that wheel. Sagers is there. Pascal is there. Hack is there, the Sisu climber as well. They really are starting to stretch down the road, and wow, we're starting to see gaps of 1 and 2 seconds. In fact, I'm just looking down at one of the beast mode riders putting in a big 7+ watts per kilo kick to try and get back on to the wheel.
Oh man, my legs are hurting from here. I can really feel this pain. They are doing a fantastic job, and Mansfield and Fleeb are still at the front there, still holding that gap. Now HC has shut that down a little bit. He's got it to within 7 seconds, and he can see the riders up ahead. So that might just be the incentive he needs to put a little bit of extra power down and catch them, which I feel that he's doing. Like, it's 5 seconds now. I think he'll catch them on the next little segment, and maybe get them on the line.
Well, maybe some fabulous tactical riding from the Sisu general classification rider, because HC is doing phenomenal work here. Now Flubus and Mansfield are going to go head to head, though, because those two are now about to battle for the finale. They're battling for that climb banner and then the finish line, which is around 200 metres after that banner. There are a number of corners. They are going to want to take the title at the top. They're going to want to take the overall as well, because let's put it this way, a victory in a 2-up battle is still a victory. Well, the Knights of the Roundabout, there's chivalry, there's round tables, there's Lancelot and Galahad going neck and neck together, but it's Flubus and Mansfield, the Beast Mode Lions and the Cryogen Rider, and now it is Mansfield driving around the right-hand bend. This is the run for the line, and it comes very, very quickly. The road banner on the left-hand side, that's the little bit that you go through the second arch. That's the finish line, and it's going to be Mansfield from Flubus today. HC from Sisu, coming up and over the climb, has got around 200 metres to the finish line. But Mansfield, who led from the start today in the Alpha race, taking the win from Christoph Flubus from the Beast Mode Lions. HC comes round the corner. The finish line is just by that yellow orange tent on the right-hand side of the road. As we see the rest of the pack coming now, this is for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. It's the rest of the top 10 after the top 3, and the rest of the teams are going to be wanting these positions. Cryogen is there, the Beast Mode Lions and Sisu. Those 3 teams are going to be battling it out today for points. I think we're going to see those 3 teams on the podium, but in which order? Who knows? We're going to see Cryogen battling Sisu, battling the Beast Mode Lions. Mark Santo from the Beast Mode Lions is going to come through for 4th place today. The Cryogen rider looks to me like they're going to take 5th. It has been a battle royale out on the Alpha race today. Well, the riders might have gone clear, but the battle continued behind.
Yep, there are still there are points on offer, so there's no point in letting go now. You've got to keep fighting right to the very end. It is a custom finish. Unfortunately, we don't see that on screen there, but the riders will absolutely know what that is, and they'll continue pushing right to that very end. But Mansfield, what a race. How dominant was he for that entire race series there, getting across the line. I thought Flubus may have had enough to kick him over the line in first position, but Mansfield absolutely taking that win, and rightfully so. What a fantastic effort.
Yeah, great racing, and riders still coming in the A category. Milne from the WMZ squad, the sprinter coming through, done a fantastic job, and the Evo rider QV coming through fast and furious, wanting that position ahead of Magnus, the Evo rider behind. Every position counts, and every rider battling and racing hard for that finish line today.
Yeah, Magnus there still doing all the things he can do to get across that line. Alex there coming up behind. He won't catch him though at 2 minutes out, but there is some other riders there that are going to come through and try and push as hard as they can. 3 watts per kilo, 3.1 watts per kilo. So certainly this has been a tough race, Emma. It would really have tested a lot of these riders, and now having a climb at the end, especially for the sprinters, that's a tough thing to deal with.
Yeah, it is as well. But the back end of this, I say the back end of this A race, we've had 25 riders across the line. That is all so far. And that's pretty much where the split was. And it was a split. And Mansfield, absolutely instrumental from the start. What a race that rider has had today. Christoph Flubus as well from the Beast Mode Lions, doing a really, really great ride too. Well, the Alpha squads are up and over the top and into the finish line. We drop in with the Gamma race at the moment, and they are riding really strongly. big pack at the base of the climb. The climb has not started yet, but they are looking like they are lining themselves up, the GC riders and the climbers, coming towards the front of the pack, Nathan.
Yeah, we can see a few of the riders there. AHDR's in the mix there, which is fantastic, but I can see Art there as well. I can see WMZ. They were our competitors throughout this entire series. I can see them in the mix there as well. OTR there too. The Watts Club. We've got, who else there? Coalition too. So certainly a lot of the teams have their representation in this front group, which is fantastic to see.
Well, I'll tell you something, the Delta League race is not far behind. And again, another really strong-sized squad. 69 riders in the Delta race today across the, 12 teams qualifying for the final. The front of the race, really everybody lining up now. They're about to go through the Ballon sprint for the second time. They cross over, one or two riders choosing to sprint this, actually. The Rhino rider and the ART1 rider here choosing to sprint this now. And that's the Sixers Delta rider pushing on. PBH going through, contending that sprint and hoping to set a faster time. Sure doing the same from the GTR squad as well. The GTR with Porpoise squad. Strong purpose there behind that sprint.
Yeah, that would have taken a lot out of the legs coming through that sprint. But as we talked about, whether that was their strategy, whether he's still feeling good, those riders are still feeling good and deciding to give this another crack, well, you'd hope to think that that's the case. But certainly some big power numbers there too from Art and Shaw coming through from, BH. So that's an interesting one. But the group is still big, and I think the climb will decide it.
Well, and that's it, isn't it? You know, after that Ballon sprint into the climb, time potentially for the sprinters to take the foot off the gas and get to the top, let the climbers and the GC riders really contend this. We're dropping in with the C riders at the moment. They are indeed on the final climb. And interestingly, nobody going clear at the moment, but a serious stretch on the group. Santis, Sagers, Roca, Thomas, Nicole, Dalton, Parker, all up towards the front of the group at the moment. And Sager's right on the front here. And, but not going clear. So a strong group of climbers here, Nathan.
Yeah, they're sticking together, aren't they? I can see a lot of GC tags in this lineup here in the front. So this is really going to come down to those last couple of turns, but this is where it all comes down. This is where the finish is going to happen. A lot of these riders here would absolutely be fatigued, but pushing on to try and get across that line. And I can see, Seeger's there, Steve in there as well. Rocker is still there, Star, Souza, but we've also got Dalton there, Brody Dalton from AHDR. We've got Rick Telford there from AHDR. Come on, boys, you can do it. Not that I'm biased at all, but Seeger's there as well. So it's going to be interesting. A lot of the climbers, as we know, are coming to the front now, and understandably so. This is their moment. This is their second points segment that they can take points on, and it's going to make all the difference if they can get across this line with the fastest time possible. And certainly it looks like it's going to be the case.
Well, I'll tell you, the dirt rider from the 39 Gears squad, Star, is doing really strong work at the moment at the front of the pack, the GC rider. They came through the playoffs and really are making their position felt at the moment. The Watt squad in the mix too.
Pushing up there, and Burrows there as well. We saw Burrows earlier on the front too, still in the mix there, still pushing hard. But Star there from the 39 Gears really setting the pace there at the front. And I dare say there's a few of the riders there that are grimacing and biting the bar tape to try and hang on to his wheel. But certainly with only a few hundred meters realistically left here in this race, this is where it all comes down to. We can see Seegers there from the Watt Club coming through, their GC rider too. DeVos there as well. So we've got a couple from the same club here. We've got Gavin there from Coalition 2. We've got a couple of WMZ riders there I can see flashing through, but the Dinos, they're there too. So certainly lots of riders there contending for these points. Brooksy there, our race captain. So he's in the mix there as a climber. Fantastic to see. Go, Brooksy. But we've got Shurig as well, Olivia and Rick Telford there down just a couple of seconds back at the pack there. But certainly some big numbers coming up.
Well, we've got 400 metres of this climb to go in the Gamma race and then 200 metres to the finish line. It's going to be fast and furious because this is one big head of the race coming in. Burrows from the ART squad, Roca from ZTBR, Sagers from the Watt squad. The Dirt 39 Gears rider Star is still in the mix. The GC rider DeVos is there. Denny is there from Club as well. Rocket now coming to the fore. They're going to swing around this corner. 2 more corners until the top of the climb. The climbers are going to want to take those points today. The GC riders are going to be wanting to push the further 200 metres to the line. And now we start to see Brooksy go. Absolutely darting this for the line. 100 metres till the top of the climb. And the AHDR climber, Brooksy, has absolutely lit the touch paper here. He's going to go underneath the banner in one. They can't touch him. Can he hold this for the finish line? That is the big question. But Telford is coming. Denny is coming. Sagers is in the mix as well. Roca is there. And there's some big numbers coming from DeVos behind. They swing around the right-hand corner. You've got to watch. It's the final tent on the right-hand side. Brooksy, I think, is going to take the win as well as the climb. Telford, Taylor, they're in the mix with Denny. What a move. Nathan's clapping in the studio, but what can we say? That was a fabulous final climb and a run to the line from the Gamma squad, picking up points on the way.
He was digging deep in that last few hundred meters there across that line. That was fantastic to see. You'd have to think that he's gotten the fastest time there, putting in seconds over the chasing group. But seeing those riders pushing out of the saddle right towards the finish is just fantastic. We've got Greg Longson there as well from WMZ. I saw him come through. Ramos there from Dinos too. Eggins as well. We've got Smith there too. But I saw Brody Dalton, our sprinter, coming over through the finish there. So fantastic to see. This would have been an absolutely challenging race for a lot of these riders. And to be anywhere near the front, chapeau, congratulations to them. They've done a fantastic job.
Well, riders still coming through in the Gamma League. It was the OTR Grinders rider we were last in with, heading towards that finish banner. We jumped in with the Delta League now, also on the climb. In fact, this race has been really fast. They've not been far behind the Gamma race at all. It's been contended really well. And Coat at the moment, the ART2 rider from the Deltrons is the rider in the lead at the moment. 13 seconds clear of Tracy, the Evo rider in this race. Wow. The Evo
That's
rider.
a big gap, isn't it?
It is a big gap from the Ignition squad. The pack are all there, actually. Whilst Tracy is leading the charge, the rest of the pack, there's a good-sized group there. With another small gap back, but Coat 12 seconds clear, and with only around 300 metres to go. Well, there you go, 100 metres to the climb banner, a further 200 metres to the finish line. And the Art Deltrons rider, Coat, is going to do the business on the Delta League as well. What a climb. A drive towards the polka dot banner. That's the climb segment by the Deltrons climber. They're going to take it to the line and win the race as well. The push is on. Andy from the Dinos squad is in the mix of that group behind. There's 4 riders chasing and chasing hard, but with 9 seconds, Coat from the ART2 squad is going going to come around that corner. The Deltron's rider through the banner takes the win as well as the climb. Lots of points heading that team's way. BMTR Racing look like they're going to take second. Evo will take third. Oh, Fitch from the Dino squad pushing through as well. The riders coming through thick and fast in the Delta League.
Yeah, you'd have to think Coat would be really happy with that effort coming through in the front on that climb segment. They are a climber. They've got that CL in their tag, and then finishing first in this race. You'd have to think they'd be pretty chuffed with that result. But certainly, hats off to the chasing riders as well. As I said, this is a difficult course, and with all these segments in play, the strategy that's involved, staying at the front, being in the first 2, 5, 10 riders is a phenomenal effort.
Yeah, absolutely. It really, really is. Well, there's some phenomenal efforts coming out right the way through this pack at the moment. The D race continuing to roll through the finish line. The work has gone into this race. Nolan in the mix. The another dirt rider packing it really close together, actually. The sprinter coming up and in as well. Doing a great job here. In fact, we've got a pack of sprinters. The next set of riders through. The dirt sprinter coming in at the moment. And then we're going to see BH, the art sprinter. In fact, those two art squads coming through with riders with their sprinters really close together. The Art Sixers Delta squad are the ART1 squad, the Deltrons, the Art2 squad, all putting their sprinters through and over the line. The OTR sprinter Pizarro coming up onto the top of the climb and just the run for the finish line. Now, these riders have all done their job today, haven't they, Nathan? The sprinters were targeting those sprints, the climbers targeting the climbs, the GC riders, and then, of course, that wild card section, which I am really looking forward to seeing how that impacts on the results today.
Yeah, that's really going to be the decisive aspect of this race, isn't it? You know, those extra points on offer through that wild card segment, which was about 10 kilometers ago, really does make the difference. But certainly, as you say, Emma, hats off to these riders. They've done a mountain of work to get to these finals over this racing period, over this series. There have been so many races. And as we all know, Flamme Rouge Racing, if you go along to the website, flammerougeracing.com, are renowned for picking challenging and difficult routes. And this one did not disappoint. You know, we can see these tired sprinters' legs crossing the line, and I'm sure they would absolutely be ecstatic to see that blue checkered banner up in the distance, knowing that their job's done, they've finished this race, and they know they've done everything they can.
Oh, that is it, isn't it? And to have ridden and raced with your team right the way through from October to February, qualify for the finals and then finish that race today, giving it your all in your allotted role. Graham from the Rhinos, the GC rider, coming around the final bend now. He's going to sight the finish line very, very shortly. And that final drive towards the line, the celebrations going on amongst the teams, the Super Six is over for some. A few riders left out on the course now.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see. I was just thinking there that some people might be looking at some of these positions, like, you know, Adam there in 42nd, and thinking, well, they haven't had a good race. But that can be further from the truth for some of these riders. If they're targeting their sprint segment or their climbing segments, it's about their fastest time, not necessarily where they're positioned. So even though we see 42, it could mean that he's had a fantastic effort in some of the other segments, and that's where the points are. And it's the points, the total points, that dictates who the winning team is going to be, not necessarily where they finish. But certainly some of these riders, I would say, are happy to see that finish line. They've got some tired legs, but hats off to them, because this has been a fantastic race to watch. And I'm happy to say that I'm glad I didn't actually race this one. So I think this is one of the only races I didn't make it into, but happy to commentate. I'll leave the racing to the guys that have done it today, and it's been awesome to watch.
Well, if you've watched the Super Six and you've joined us for some of the earlier races when we kicked off back in October, when you joined us in February for the last couple of rounds of the league, if you've joined us today for the final and you have liked what you have seen and you thought, oh, I really wish I'd got a team together, well, you can. Not for this year, but for next season. You need to keep your eyes peeled for updates at around the end of April, and we can indeed confirm the racing will be back in the autumn. What would you say, Nathan, to anyone thinking about putting a team together for the future?
Absolutely. Get in on this. This is really the future of racing. The fact that you can specify exactly which riders are going to be in which roles. You can have multiple teams. The frames are neutralized, so there's no real differences there in terms of who's got what, what drops to get what bikes. It really does come down to tactics, to communication, to that strategy, and that's really what racing's about. So if you haven't got a team in there, get a team in there because this is where it's at.
Well, it's been a really interesting move, hasn't it, between Octaine and Flamme Rouge Racing to put this Octaine Racing Super 6 series together. A really interesting dynamic and a really interesting union between those two groups. And it really has, if you look back at, and we talked about the numbers right at the beginning, 135 teams have competed, 929 races, 809 men and 120 women. The numbers and the community that have seen this racing right to its fruition today. When you think we've had 250 riders take the start line today for the finals, 50 teams qualifying, they're not small numbers.
No, that's exactly right. And for the fact that this is like the first inaugural racing series for Super Six, it's fantastic to see such great numbers. And in talking with Rich Vale, he couldn't be happier. This is a series that he's absolutely loved putting together. He's loved racing in it. He's loved looking after all the questions and the people that are involved, the managers, the races themselves. And it really is just evident that we have so many people participating from all around the world joining in on this. Just shows that how vibrant this racing format is, and it really is fantastic.
Well, talking about fantastic, we can indeed bring you the results. We're going to do this slowly because there you go. This is not the results of the race today. Well, it is the results of the race today. This is the final results of the Super Six, and the Beast Mode Lions have indeed taken away the Alpha title. The L'Equipe Aiguilles take second place. The WMZ Anvils take third. Take a look at that. No wildcard points, but what a performance elsewhere. Sisu Kivat, we know we saw them front and centre, and they did pick up a lot of those wildcard points today, but taking them into fourth place. The Watt squad, the Alpha Watt squad that is, take fifth place. I am going to caveat this with these are provisional results, but this is the first look at what has happened today in terms of the points.
That is just looking at WMZ there with no wildcard points and still finishing third. It just shows with the right strategy and with the right riders in the right roles, you can still absolutely dominate this. But hats off to Beast Mode Lions. Congratulations. A well-fought, well-earned victory there. LEQP there in second. Again, 12 wildcard points too. So certainly some really monumentally tough efforts there. Sisu there in fourth and the Watt squad there in fifth. So that was just, it was a racing class, wasn't it, in terms of how well these riders did and how well some of these teams did. So Beast Mode Lions, well done.
Yeah, the Beast Mode Lions took P1 on the Europe League. So they were on paper, they were really strong favourites. The WMZ Anvils took the P1 in the US East League. So again, we knew they would be strong. But I want to give a big shout out to the L'Equipe Aiguilles. Second place today. They finished P5 in the Europe League. What a race they have had today. Absolutely chapeau. Brilliant racing today. Well done.
Yeah, that's
So,
just a fantastic effort.
yeah, it is indeed. The Beta Racing. Well, yet again, shaking it up today. Take a look at that. Down and Dirty Falcons in 6th place, Coalition Seren in 5th. Oh, big score on the wildcard points for the OTR on the Rivet breakaways in 4th. ZRG Restaurant take 3rd place today. The Watt squad, the Beta Watt squad, just one wildcard point, but what points they've picked up elsewhere, and that was quite close, you know. Team Not Poggy, Blue Mountain. Well, they take top spot in the Beta Super 6.
Yeah, congratulations, Team Not Poggy. What a fantastic result there too. So 1,100 points, 16 points over Watt squad. But looking at 3rd and 4th, there is just 1 point separating those two teams. You'd have to think that the on the Rivet, the OTR breakaways would be looking at that and thinking, oh, 1 point. But ZRG, congratulations, you did the job and you've taken 3rd.
Yeah, well, every point counts, and we've seen that today with the racing that we have just watched, the Beta Racing. Well, it was fast and furious. In the Gamma Racing, yet again, this was a huge pack of riders. It really, really was, and they battled every single time. Well, let's take a look at how that played out. How close is some of those points, I can tell you. On the Rivet Grinders, taking 9th spot. The Art Sixers Gamma crew taking 8th. The AHDR Cruisers, we saw them pick up some of those final points, but 7th place overall. Draft Dino, Erator, 6th. L'Equip, Chouquettes, 5th. Then we start to get really close to the top. The WMZ Cronus squad taking 4th place. Club Chocolate, we saw the club riders really dominate some of those point sections today. And with 14 wildcard points, the most wildcard points of any team, they take 3rd place today, but just 2 points behind the Watt squad bunch in 2nd. Gamma ZTBR 2000 taking the top spot in the Gamma Super 6.
Wow,
Nathan, you studied those hard quickly.
Yeah, well, congratulations to everyone that was in the race. It was a fantastically difficult race to race there. Gamma there in 1st. Look, we knew the European teams were going to be difficult. They are tough competitors. There's no question about that. The Gamma there, congratulations on that win there. Watt squad as well in 2nd. But as you point out, though, Emma, 2 points separating 2nd and 3rd. So Watt squad and Club Chocolate. And of course, WMZ Cronus and Greg Longson, well done to the team there. They were the team that we were battling throughout the entire race series. So congratulations on them getting 4th there. The LEQP Cruchettes, is that I'm pronouncing that correctly? In 5th there, that was just fantastic. Drafting Dinos there too in 6th. The Cruisers in 7th. Again, an awesome effort from the team. Well done to the boys there. And Art there, the Sixers in 8th, and OTR, the Grinders there in 9th. So again, tough competitive racing, and that's what we want to see.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. The ZTBR Gamma 2000 riders who have taken the win in that Gamma League, the US East competitors, and coming in having finished 2nd in that league. So really nailing it and really putting a great plan in place today and executing that really well. And that's one of the things I'm really loving looking at these results, Nathan, is the fact that we're seeing riders from across the 3 leagues all coming together for the finals. They haven't raced each other outside of their own individual league to this point, unless they came through the playoffs. Let's just caveat that. And whilst there are a lot of teams in the European League, they're not dominating the finals today. We're seeing other riders from other leagues and other teams finish at the top.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Emma, you're spot on there. A lot of these teams haven't raced against each other before this. And so coming into a race like this, a final race where nerves are high, everyone's anxious, and then you're looking across and seeing other riders that you're not familiar with, you're not used to seeing their names, you're not sure what they're like when it comes to certain aspects of the race, makes it just so much more difficult. And the fact that we're seeing, these results just goes to show how talented and how strong some of these riders are. But Gamma there, ZTBR taking out the top spot, and that's awesome to see.
Well, I think we might have the Delta League results. We might not.
Right.
We are processing, I tell you,
Yes.
so quickly behind the scenes. Yeah, we do. I'll tell you. I mean, that little handle they are cranking behind the scenes is working brilliantly today. The Delta League, let's take a look. The yet again, close racing all the way through there. GTR with Porpoise, 7th place today. The Rhino squad taking 6th. Draft Dino, prehistoric pace. They put some good racers out in good strategic positions today, taking 5th spot. Interestingly, no wildcard points, but a very, very strong overall total. ART Deltrons, we saw that second ART squad racing strongly, finishing just literally 5 points behind the other ART squad, the Sixers Delta squad, taking 3rd. The Dirty Coughing Dragons taking 2nd place today, and the team winning the Delta Super 6, the BMTR Free Bells.
Congratulations to them. That was a difficult race. I'm loving some of these names. I've got to say, Dirty Coughing Dragons. That's Dirt is always a strong racing club, and to see them in 2nd position is not surprising. And again, Art there in 3rd and 4th, and we've seen Art throughout a lot of these categories positioning themselves, finishing well, drafting dinos there, prehistoric pace. Rhino as well, and GTR too. So certainly some of the clubs here are going to look at these results and think, what a fantastic effort. Really pat themselves on the back, because getting those points, as we saw, is not an easy thing.
Yeah, it is true, and really interesting to see where those teams have finished. The BMTR Free Bells took 2nd place in the league, in the Europe League. So again, putting into practice in the final what they've learned during the league and executing a superb race to take the win in the Delta League. Well, we also have the results from the Epsilon League as well. They are provisional. This is the first place you will see them. In 6th place, the GTR Sharks are in play. I tell you, this is close as well. The WMZ Esky Raiders in 5th. Draft Dino Excellent Riders in 4. The Art Sixers Epsilon taking 3rd place. Draft Dino Stego 1 taking 2nd. And the Art Electronites taking top spot. Look at that wild card point score. Amazing.
Yeah. I was going to say, Art have been absolutely dominant in this racing series, and the Epsilon Racing League is exactly an example of that, with 25 wildcard points. They knew exactly where to target, and they've executed that perfectly. 25 points. That's fantastic. But looking down that list there, 17 for drafting dinos, and again, Art Sixers in 3rd spot there with 13 wildcard points. And then down the list there, drafting dinos there as well. Again, hats off to Australian WMZ riders. Fantastic to see such a great result. And GTR Sharks there too. So missed out on some wildcard points there, but competitive nonetheless.
Well, really interesting to see the Electronites and Stego 1 both took top spot in their league. So the Epsilon League today on the Super 6 final going to form. Well, Well, the wildcard points, they counted, but the racing, the strategy, the tactics counted more. The points have been added up. The provisional results have been on your screen, and you need, of course, to head over to Flamme Rouge Racing for those final confirmed results. It has been an absolute pleasure putting words to the action to the Super Six, and congratulations to the winners of the Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta and Epsilon races tonight. It has been superb. It has indeed been a Super Six and super racing all the way through. What a team competition. Congratulations to also all of those who took part. The commitment that has helped to raise the bar in team competition has been absolutely brilliant. And congratulations to all those team members behind the scenes, the DSs in the ears, the team managers sorting things out, filling in the paperwork, typing out the forms, coordinating all the riders. It has been absolutely epic. Nathan, it's been a fabulous competition. What are you taking away from the first Super Six?
Emma, this has been awesome to watch. And what I'm taking away from this is how impressive some of these teams are and how strong they are with the strategies. I've taken some notes. I'm going to look back at this and see how some of these teams actually executed this race, because there are really some teams there that have dialed into this racing format within an inch of its life. And I think if anyone is to get in on this, go over to flammerougeracing.com, get a team together, start looking forward towards the next racing season, which will be here before we know it, and get involved.
Well, if you want to get involved, if you have liked what you have seen, don't forget to like, share, follow and subscribe. ZMS Esports Studio, Flamme Rouge Racing, Super Six, Octaine, everybody along the way, because that's how you will keep updated about what is coming next. And do not doubt, something is coming next, because we are going to be back with team competition in the autumn. That leaves me just to say a few thank yous. I'm going to say thank you very much to the teams and all the racers for providing such fabulous racing and entertainment since October. Thank you to Octaine. Thank you to Flamme Rouge Racing. Thank you to Richard Vale. He is an absolute force to be reckoned with. Thank you very much to ZMS Esports Studios, the production behind the scenes, Damon with his fingers on all the knobs and faders. Thank you to Nathan. It has been an absolute pleasure being on commentary with you through the Super Six. It has been really fantastic.
And thank you to Emma. It's been wonderful to be involved.
Well, thank you to our viewers, and I am going to leave you with the highlights of the Super Six final. Stay safe, enjoy your riding. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.